So welcome to tonight's Facebook Live teaching, brought to you by Maths Heuristics. Happening every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Okay? So today, as you know, I'll be covering on branching. Between models and branching, I want to show you how they are connected. And the branching that I'll be using will not involve fractions, but rather it will involve whole numbers because I think that's something you're more familiar with. Okay, so in case you're wondering why I'm holding my mic like this, I think it's clearer this way. The computer fan sound won't get in the way. So a bit about myself. I started doing Facebook Live all the way back in 2017, August. And my relevant milestones so far is that I've been teaching with Zoom since 2018 to full-time online classes from P3 to P6. Okay. A bit about our company, Maths Heuristics. This is my boss and my mentor, Mr. Sunny Tan. Okay. Way back then, he was featured in the Business Times in March 2011. That was all the way back, like nearly 1 decade ago. And back then, he wanted everyone to learn heuristics, doesn't matter where they learn it from, and true enough, today, everyone is teaching it in this manner. Students are learning it in this manner. In a way, his wish has been fulfilled. Okay, so a bit about my boss as well. He authored the Mastering Heuristics series, which comprises of the model approach to problem solving, the unit transfer method for P5 and P6, and for P4, the unit transfer method for speed and rate, and the spatial visualization book for problems involving area and parameter. Okay. So hello to Ivan, Diana, CY, GM, Dexter, long time no see, Yunqi, Isabel. It's not yellow, the mouse cursor is orange. Hello, Keenan. Your hand is going to die. Okay, so you can click here to find out more. Let me just type in the link real quick. What up, Delvin? Okay, now that that's out of the way, anytime you want to like and share, you can do it. Okay, so now let's get into branching itself. Yeah, hello Jonathan. Okay, so now let's start with guided example 1. So to show you how models and branching are connected, this is what we can do. Now, the contractor had to install tiles on a whole floor of a house within 4 days. He completed installing 1/5 of the floor on the first day. Okay. Then he completed 1/6 of the remaining floor on the second day. right? So on the third day, he completed 120 meters squared of the floor area. And if the area of the floor in which the contractor had to install on the third day is 37 the area of the floor on the fourth day. Okay, maybe I shouldn't use green for this. Later then I'll change. Find the area of the floor the contractor had to install in 4 days. Okay, so over here, what can we do? To do this by model, we can see that we can draw one long bar and cut it into 5 equal portions. Like so, correct? Because the whole entire floor, we use one long bar to represent the total amount of floor surface that he has to cover. Break it down into 5 equal portions, and then we say that on the first day, he has to clear this amount. Then on the second day, he has to clear 1/6 of the remainder. So to deal with this, we can pull this model down. Then we break this remainder. Into 6 equal portions. Okay, so this was what he covered in the second day. Now finally, within the third day and the fourth day, we see that the third day's area covered is 3/7 the area of the fourth day. Okay, which means to say that if we are to draw a comparison model to look at this, the third day would have 3 blocks worth, the fourth day would have 7 blocks worth of surface area to cover. So this remaining 5 red blocks over here can be cut into 10 small blocks in total. Correct? Because there's a total of 10 units over here. So when you cut every red block into 2 green blocks, this standalone red block also has to be cut into 2 smaller blocks. Then we can say that on the third day, he covered 3 of these. And on the fourth day, he covered 7 of these. And furthermore, we also know that he completed 120 meters squared of floor area on the third day. So if this is the case, all we have to do from here is to take 120, divide this by 3, that will give us 40. Okay, then after you have done this already, the next thing that we can do is to take 10 times 40. No, there's a total of 12 over here. There are a total of 12 blocks over here with 40. This would give us 480. So these 12 blocks are going to represent 480 meters squared. Okay, then after that, we can also see that these 4 blue blocks over here is going to represent 480. So after that, we can take 480, divide this by 4 to give us 120. Okay, find the area of the floor the contractor had to install in these 4 days. So if that is the case, we want to find out what this total would be. This total is simply going to be 120 times 5. That will give us 600. So the answer here will be 600 meters squared. Okay, get to the point of branching. Wait lah. Relax first. The night is still young, boy. Okay, so do you all see the links over here? Okay, so of course, like what Ivan pointed out, model can be a bit time consuming, but if you have to do it in order to get your answer, I suggest you do it. If branching doesn't work out for you, definitely have a backup plan and another way to solve it. Because if you try to fixate on one method alone, sometimes it may be a bit more difficult for you to solve. Okay? So, of course, I'm going through branching. I want to show you how they are interconnected with what you have already learned in school. So, by branching, this is how it will look like. Well, what do you mean by I keep cutting? Your voice and the Facebook screen, you try to refresh again. You try to refresh again. On my end, it looks okay. So for branching, this is how it will look like. So our way of doing is a bit different from the school. But this deals with whole numbers, so I guess it is a clearer representation. Some would disagree, and I think that's fine. Do let me know in the comments where you disagree on. So what we can do over here is to say that in the first day, you completed 1 out of a total of 5. The remainder here is 4. Then on the second day, you completed 1 out of a total of 6 from the remainder, and now you are left with 5 over here. As you can see, these numbers over here represents the number of blocks that we have over here. Can you all see the link? And later on, we can see that on the third day as compared to the fourth. You painted 3 green blocks here, you painted 7 green blocks here. In total, you painted 10. Okay, so what we can do next is to work backwards directly. So if this over here, this green tree over here represents 120 meters squared, then we can divide it by 3 to give us 40. Then we can say that this will be 400. When this is 400, we can work backwards directly and plug it into the rate 5. So when this happens, 400 divided by 5 will give us 80 over here. And if we sum them up, we will obtain 480 meters squared over here. So this remainder came from the blue 4. And if this blue 4 is 480, we can find out one of these blue blocks first, and then we can find out the total of this 5 blue blocks value. Okay? Okay, Facebook and the TeachArc, they use we are using 2 different platforms. For Facebook Live, right, I'm using another platform entirely. It's not Zoom, it's OBS. So the whole viewing experience for this is a lot smoother. Okay, for Zoom itself, it will stream, I think, at 15 frames per second. So that's why it always looks a bit laggy on TeachArc itself. Okay, so you can see that there are two different representations and you get the same answer with this. Agree? So for myself, which method is superior? I don't think there's a superior method. There's only methods that's more suitable for students. I mean, some of you may find branching easier than model. Some of you may find model easier than branching. It really depends on the individual student. So go with what you're most comfortable with and get the problem done. Okay, if you got it, please spam the like button. If you got it. If you don't know anything, do let me know. Your words are like cutting. Hang on, let me try to see what you all mean by that. No way, I hear from my handphone itself, it sounds quite clear. Yeah, just to make sure it's turned on to Wi-Fi. Okay, got it. The next one, let's go on to number 2. Get on your iPad. I don't know, my iPad, I think I want to give my niece. Surface Pro 7 is already good enough for most of the things that I'm doing. Okay, so number 2, let's get on with it. You can see that Cindy baked some cakes. She ate 2 cakes and divided the rest into 4 equal shares. Okay, so from here on, I'll just use branching all the way. Just wanted to establish the link and similarities. But of course, some of you may not need it. Okay, 4 equal shares. She gave 1 share and 3 more cakes to her neighbors, and she gave half of her remaining share to her friends. She was left with 12 cakes over here. How many cakes did she bake at first? So from here on, I'll go a bit more quickly. So you see, you have a certain number of cakes that she baked at first. You do not know what it is. Now follow the order in which the story unfolds, because you ate 2 already and then you divided them into 4 equal shares, like this. Okay, so after that, you gave 1 share and 3 more to the neighbor. What are you going to be left with? You're going to be left with 3 shares minus 3. So a bit of elaboration on this part here. What's actually happening? If you break it down into 4 shares like this, if you gave 3 more to the neighbor, this will be 1 share and 3 more. And over here, this will be 3 less than 3 shares. That's what's happening. Okay. So once you got this already, she gave half of the remaining share to her friends. So 1 unit was given to the friends, and she's left with 12 cakes herself. So we can say, once we've established this, we can say that this 1 unit here is 12, and this 1 unit here will also be 12. Agree? So 12 times 2 will give us 24. Then we can form that connection and say that this 3 shares minus 3 has to be 24. So if this is the case, I know a lot of you like to do the shortcut way of calculating this, but the most common error I always observe is that some of them like to do it this way. Okay? Don't. Be careful. Safety is more important. You have 3 shares over here. When you take away 3, you are left with 24. So 3 shares will be 24 plus 3 to give you 27. So 1 share will be 27 divided by 3 to give you 9. Okay, you see what I mean here? Sometimes if you jump the steps too quickly, you may say that 3 shares will be 21. Okay, some of you will make the mistake, some of you will be perfect. I'm trying to address this to everyone. So when you have 1 share being 9, you can now find out the value of your 4 shares. So this would be 36. And if this is 36, how many did she bake at first? 36 plus 2 will give you 38. So this is your answer. Alright. So you can see that by doing this in a branching manner, yes, it can go a lot faster. Of course, at the same time, it may not be suitable for everyone. I have to admit that. Okay, then if that happens, just fall back on the model reasoning. Okay, if you got it, please spam the like button. Yeah, so some of you are saying 36, some of you say 30, most of you say 38. Okay, GMEG, Jamie, CY. Yeah, you all got the answer. Alright. Especially simultaneous equation. Okay, if you're using simultaneous equation at primary level, I suggest you back it up with models also, like what you've learned in my holiday class. So Evelyn is asking why 12 times 2? Because you see this purple text here? When she gave half of the share to her friends, she's left with half herself and she's left with 12. So this other half has to be 12 as well. Okay? Okay, so I guess most of you are okay. Let's go on to number 3. Now at the supermarket, Mrs. Tan spent $4 less than 3/8 of her money on some fruits and $2 more than 5/9 of her remaining money on some prawns. After that, she still had $14 left. How much money was left after she bought the fruits and just before she bought the prawns? And how much money did she have at first? So this is how we can break it down. Okay, so let's look at the blue line first. So her money over here can be broken down into a total of 8 units. So on the fruits, she spent 3 units. No, she spent $4 less than 3 units. So the remainder over here would have to be 5 units plus 4. Okay? My God, look at that 60 FPS motion. That is so smooth, man. Now, when you come on to the next line, you spend $2 more than 5/9 of the remaining money on prawns. So this remainder can be broken down into a total of 9 equal portions. Okay, 9 parts. So what did she spend on the prawns? She spent 5 parts and another $2. Therefore, the remainder here would be 4 parts minus 2. And that will give you $14 remaining. So now to answer part A, where in this branch is the value that we want to find out? Where in this branch do you want to find out? No, I think Facebook streams at 30 FPS, but my recording, I can do it. I can record this whole session at 60 FPS. Hey, serious ready? Come on, which one is it? 4P. No, it's not 4P. Hello, Ashlyn. No, you see what they're looking for is this remainder over here. Or these 9 parts over here. After she have bought the fruits already, but before buying the prawns. So this is what we are looking for in part A. The 9 parts. Okay, so to deal with this, if we see that 4 parts minus 2 gives us 14. Okay, let's define out clearly first. 4 parts, take away 2, gives you 14. So this will be 14 plus 2 to give you 16. 1 part would then be 16 divided by 4 to give you 4. Yeah, thank you, Evelyn. You'd see got people reply lah. Okay. So 1 part is 4, 9 parts will be 9 times 4 to give you 36. Okay, so you see here why I don't write the units over here. The reason is because if you want to write units, technically you have to write units everywhere. So to prevent clutter, I'll omit that out and I'll just leave it in the final answer. Okay, so part A will be $36. Alright? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Ivy. Thank you, Wei Ching. So once you got this ready, once you know that this is $36, we can say that 5U plus 4 will also represent $36. And once you've got that, the next thing that we can say is that if 5 units plus 4 is $36, then 5 units will be how much? 5 units and 4 gives you a 36. So 5 units will be 36 minus 4 to give you 32. Okay, so this looks a bit weird, right? But remember, when we are dealing with the topic of money over here, we can find out the value of 1 unit first. The value of 1 unit will be 32 divided by 5. For some of you, the first instinct is when you see that the number in the ones, the digit in the ones place is not a 0 or a 5. When you have a 5 units here, you tend to feel uncomfortable. Just go with it first. You would see that you get $6.40 over here. Alright? Okay, so once you got this ready, we can find out 8 units easily. 8 units will just be 8 times 640 to give you $51.20. Okay. So GM is asking, is this model part branching? Okay, I would say that the whole setting up involves branching. But when we do calculations like this, on whether or not you should plus or minus, I suggest using models to define out clearly what steps you need to take. If you can do your shortcuts 100% correct, just stick with that. Okay? Is this for P4? Yeah, P4 can also adapt the idea. Okay, good job, Jezreel. Yunqi, how you get 36? 4 parts minus 2. Is this $14 remaining? Do you see that? And then Yunqi is also asking, how did you know that 5u plus 4 is 36? You have to go back to the model itself already. Okay, so this is 3. See, you spend 4 less than that, right? Then you break this down into 9 equal portions. So these 9 equal portions has to be the same as the 5 units and 4. Okay, if I try to keep on explaining using words, it can be a bit tough for you and I. Branching is commonly used. Is it okay? So to address Maggie's question, is branching a commonly used method in maths? You have to depend on the question. Usually, branching is used for questions with the remainder being involved. Usually. Okay, then after that, okay, if you got it, please spam the like button. If you haven't got it yet, I'll leave it here for a while more. Okay, buy prawns. No, I'm allergic to prawns and crab, to be honest with you. Now, the last one over here is a rather uncommon type of branching problem. I seldom see this in various groups. Okay, so let me address this first, just in case you encounter a problem like this. Problem like these still come out in past year papers for P5 and P6. More for P5 but P6 I seldom see. Okay, so Sandy consumed an equal number of slimming pills each day. Okay, this part is very important. She had 3/5 of the pills left after 3 days. Okay, then she had 2 pills left after another 4 days. Find the number of pills at first. Okay, to deal with this, let me try to do this by branching first. Some of you may find this a bit more difficult. So let me just show you how it goes. In 3 days, okay, you have 3 days left over and the total. The total at first was 5 blocks worth. Okay, my question for you here is this. Is this going to be 3, this is 2, or the second one, 2 and 3? Which one is it going to be? 1 or 2? People will just buy prawns and crabs on the live bidding thing on Facebook. Yeah, slimming pills. I guess after the whole circuit breaker thing, I'm gonna need them also. Option 1 or option 2, which one is correct? Hello, Ashlyn. Yeah, see why you're correct. Okay, thank you, Elson. Maggie, thank you for that. Alright. My auto clicker killed my Wi-Fi. No, the thing about auto clicking is if you're using your mouse macro over here, right? If you're using a mouse macro, try not to set it to 1 ms. If you set it to 1 millisecond, it will crash your server. In Diablo 3 also, sometimes when I play the game and I use the auto click to pick up items, they crash the whole game and I get disconnected. Yeah, every one of you is correct. Okay, so that is one common mistake that students make also. They write it as 3 and 2 because they've been doing these types of questions for so long. They kind of got used to it, kind of take it for granted that this would be 3 and 2, but it's not. All of you have been looking and paying attention, very good. So your leftover is 3 and over here you have 2. This means to say that you've consumed 2 red blocks in 3 days. Okay? The implication here is that you consumed 2 red blocks in 3 days. Okay, so why did I highlight this blue statement? Was it for fun? G603. Yeah. So over here, it's not, because this condition is critical. It's necessary. When you have an equal number of slimming pills that you consumed each day, we can break this down. We can multiply this by 3 and break them down into 6 smaller blocks, like so. Because when we do it this way, right? Okay, just imagine this. 2 red blocks was consumed in 3 days. So if this is the case, 2 red blocks have the same, represent the same amount as 3 blue blocks. We want to make them the same. Okay, so by doing this, we can say that in 1 day, you would be consuming 1 unit. In 1 day, you'll be consuming 2 of these units over here, out of a total of 15. Okay, so now, after another 4 days, what's going to happen? Okay, let me just emphasize on this keyword, another 4 days. That means it's not the end of day 4. It is the end of day 7, because after day 3, another 4 days will be the end of day 7. Okay, so that's a keyword you have to take note of. So if in 1 day you consume 2 units, in 4 days you'll be consuming how many units? Yeah, Lina. Yeah. So another 4 days. 4 of these 2 blocks would give you a total of 8 units being consumed. And once you have that, you will be left with 1 of these units here. So 1 of these units represent 2 pills. Find the number of pills at first, and that would simply be 15 units. 15 times 2 will give you 30. Okay, so this would be your answer already. Does anyone need me to go through this through models? Which level is this? This is more for P5. This guided example 4 is more for P5. Like, so laggy. Yeah, okay, Wei Ching, got it. What about P6? Yeah, P6 also can be tested, these types of questions.